question, Coach.
Yeah.
How much time do you spend in setting up your practice?
Yeah, let's, setting up the practice, planning your practice.
Planning your practice.
It depends, how fast you are. Every coach is, yeah. It depends how good you are at setting up practice. And how many times you've done this before, how much experience you have. I got to a point where I've done it so many times that I could almost do it without writing anything down. But you gotta start at least writing, you should write everything down. The only thing, you do have to write out your substitution patterns, you pretty much have to write that out. And then you get to practice and one of your guys is sick and not there, so now you gotta change all that too. But yeah, the more prepared you are, the better your practice is gonna be. At least it makes you think about what you're gonna do, and so you just don't show up at the pool and go, let's see, what are we gonna do today,
We've all done that.
Yeah. So,
Let's just play some bottom line.
Now shooting scrimmage.
But,
The reason I say that is a lot of times, I have my real job actually, as everybody says, and I have a lot of hours in that, and there's times where I don't get a time to put a practice plan together. I'm just curious if you're able to do a week ahead of time, 2 weeks ahead of time. But I feel it's dynamic because the season goes off as well. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it definitely changes. You do, at the beginning of the season, you do more general stuff, 6-on-6 and game situation type of stuff. And then as the season goes on, you do a lot of preparation for the other team that you're gonna play. And you don't wanna spend a lot of time preparing for the other team. Just get some general tendencies of what they wanna do. Like if they have a really great player, and if you spend the whole time working on just trying to stop that one guy, it's too much. And first of all, it makes your kids think this guy's the greatest player in the world, and we're not going to have a chance against this guy and that sort of thing. So, put your best defender on him and let it go.
Let the cards fall.
Yeah. So now, when you're setting up practice, you got to decide what you're going to work on. So you have to have priorities, and part of that is what happened in the game, the last game you played, or the last time you played the team that you're going to play. So part of that you have to decide that way, and this is something we have to work on. We had trouble with this last game, so that's a priority for you. Again, my priorities was defense, counterattack, and 6-on-5. Those are my priorities. And now my priority would be I'd be working on the motion system, and just doing that a lot. I still also work on defense and all that. Some of these things you can't work on every day. You would like to work on 6-on-5 every day. You'd like to work on everything every day, but you only have so much time. Some of us are really limited in our pool time. Sometimes you only have an hour and a half or 2 hours. If you have more than that, you're lucky. But then, I don't think you need more than 2.5. I never had a practice longer than 2.5 hours. In all those years that I was coaching. So, but you want to do a little bit of shooting. I don't know if you really need to shoot every day. Maybe that's one thing that you don't need to do every day, but you could do some shooting that's related to game shooting. You got to do a little bit of conditioning, but see, this is where a lot of time is wasted by swimming laps. You want to condition while you're doing your drills, and so you save time there by doing that instead of swimming laps. Swimming laps is just a waste of time. You want to work on your legs a little bit, and you got to be efficient. You get them in the water. I would do one good hard leg drill every day. Maybe we'll do a heavy ball drill. And we do about 10 minutes, maybe more. But explosive type of thing where you're passing with 2 hands, and you can do all kinds of stuff with the heavy balls. You don't want to throw the heavy ball with one arm because then you really screwed up your shoulders. So it's all 2 hands, but you get a guy on the deck passing to a guy in the water, and he has to catch the ball with 2 hands, and then you got to pass it back up to the guy on the deck. Well, that puts a lot of stress on your legs, and it's a good way to strengthen your legs, without doing weightlifting. How much time do you have in a day? If you want to do weightlifting, if I have a choice and I've got an hour free in the morning and I can get the pool, I'd rather put him in the pool and do something than have him do weightlifting. That's to me, especially during the season. If I only have so many hours a day, I'm not gonna spend, and maybe I have 3 extra hours a week, I'm not gonna spend that weightlifting, I would rather spend that in the pool. So it's just a decision you need to make. See, how much do you think weightlifting contributes to the success of your players? You know, that's a decision you gotta make. So, I would do some band stuff to keep the shoulders strengthened, and all my strength work would be in the pool. You get stronger by swimming sprints, makes you stronger. Leg work in the pool, heavy balls, explosive jumps, that makes your legs stronger. If you go in the weight room and you do squats, you know, that is not necessarily going to help you get your legs stronger. So, but you do have to do some leg work just about every day, but keep it short, but keep it intense, keep it hard. Make sure you warm up the legs first, and then you, heavy balls are the greatest. I think you could do so many different things with those. It really helps you, puts the stress on the legs and gets them in better shape. You probably want to try to work 6 on 5 every day. You probably want to work on counterattack every day. See, this is where you combine. Combining, like this drill here that I showed you, where you start at one end and you do one-way counters. Okay, you're working on an offensive and defensive concept at this end. You're working in a different offensive and defensive concept at this end, and you're getting a counterattack. So you're getting conditioning. So you're getting water polo something up here, water polo something down here, and you're still getting a hard counterattack out of it. So you're getting conditioning at the same time. So becoming more efficient in your practices has a lot to do with combining. That's why I say all your drills should have some kind of swimming in them. I do a swimming drill. When I started emphasizing the counterattack, I said, okay, you gotta be able to swim the length of the pool a lot and still have this, you know, be able to get a shot off, get a good shot off. So I did a drill called the double hernia, and I would put the players here. Actually, the defense would be on the inside. Now, it may seem that we have long lines, but I'll show you in a second. It's really not that many people. I always had small teams anyway. I don't know if you can run a workout with 24, 26 players. You know, it's really tough. I was forced to only have 18, 19 players because we couldn't get guys into Stanford. They just didn't have the grades to get in there, so we had small teams. But it actually was a blessing, because I got the less guys, the more I could concentrate on those guys. And every time if you got 24, 25 players, you're putting in these other guys, it really dilutes the practice and it's taking time away from your better players. So, but this drill here, I'd start here. I'd have a goalie in here. I'd have another goalie here, or a field player, and he had, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 balls there. Okay, we'd have a bunch of balls here for these guys. Okay, these 2 guys would take off down the pool. One guy with the ball, the other guy on defense, and I'm swimming next to the guy with the ball. And as I'm taking my stroke, I'm pushing on his legs, I'm pushing on his arms, I'm really making it hard for him. So he's got to work his tail off. I don't try to steal the ball or anything, I'm just harassing him all the way down the pool. So he's got to go from here, and first of all, I like to start it on the 2. Okay? And everybody else is lined up over here on the wall. I started on the 2, so he's got to swim from the 2 to the 2. And when we did this at 30 meters, that was a pretty good swim. And now we're doing a shorter distance, but it's still a pretty good swim. They get down to this area down here, this guy's being harassed, he's working, he's getting tired. When you get down to the 4, I want the defender to get right behind him. Just slide over behind him and stay behind him. So this guy has to swim in and take a shot off the water, some kind of off the water shot. And I don't want this defender to leave until the shot is taken. I want him just to play good defense. I don't want the guy just to be able to pick up the ball and wave it. I want defense all the way down there. As that shot is being taken, the ball's in the air, both these players turn around and counter to the other direction. So you end up, the guy that was on defense is now on offense. He's being chased by the guy who shot the ball. And this person over here with the ball, he makes the pass. This guy, he's got to swim down here as fast as he can. The guy that has to chase as hard as he can, try to catch him, and this guy's gonna come out here and he's gonna shoot a one on nobody. Yeah, or if unless he's slow and the defender, the person chasing him catches him, then he's gonna have to figure out a way to get a shot off that end, maybe off the water, maybe you have to make a move away from him, whatever. But, so you've got, and in the course of this drill, you've got, this guy when this player takes off here, he gets to mid-court, the next group takes off. Here, okay, so and then you've got somebody shooting here, you've got another group coming back here in the middle, and you've got another group down here shooting. So you've got pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 people involved in this drill. So it's not like you have...
goalies and passers.
Yeah,
I mean,
and so you've got maybe 4 extra ones over here. So once they've done this, they go over to this side, they rest up for, not for long, they get a little bit of a rest, then they go again. You just switch roles every time they go. One person becomes the shooter, one person becomes the person that's going down. And I call this a double hernia. And then we play little games, like I said, okay, we're taking one on nobodies down here. We're gonna keep doing this drill until you score 15 in a row, one on nobodies down here. And you know, these guys are swimming down there and they're scoring, they're counting, counting. Hey, that's 5, that's 6, and invariably you get to 14 and the 15th guy misses the shot down here, the one on nobody. But one on nobodies, you've seen players miss one on nobodies, right? And this teaches them how to score, and I used to have them swim to this side of the cage and then swim to one side of the cage and then go across the goal. And he took the one on nobody. That helped things a lot too. So we keep doing it, and eventually, sometimes if there's no way they're going to get 15, depending on the skills of your players, and I would reduce to 12 or 10 or sometimes even 8. And I didn't want to go forever on this same drill, So you have a certain time limit on these things. So, but here's a drill where you're shooting at each end of the pool, different kinds of shot, off the water shot. You're tired, one on nobody. You're tired. You're getting conditioning out of it, and you're getting shooting skills out of it. You're even getting some defensive skills out of it. And you're learning how to chase, all these different things. It's just a combination of stuff. We do this probably a couple days a week, during the course of the season. So just an example of a drill where you combine conditioning and you combine skills and shooting and that sort of thing too. You can even, this guy's getting a lot of passing here. This person here starts with the ball, so you don't pass. Or you could, actually you have them take off, you could have somebody in this line throw that pass. So you're adding a pass there too, if you want to do it that way too.
So where in your practice would this normally get going?
I would say before we started going, this is a shooting drill, so I usually do a shooting drill in the first third of the practice somewhere.
Yeah, so like you hopped in, you warmed up, you did your quick 500 yards,
Yeah.
a little bit of passing, then right into
Probably
this
in the news,
movement.
warm up their arms a little bit first.
A little passing.
Yeah. So that's what I do. Let me set up a practice. It's a 2-hour practice where we go. Your warm up, let's say 15 minutes. That's a lot. I think you can get warmed up faster than that. But again, the warm up, you don't want to waste time. You could try dry land warm-ups before you get in the water, but I don't know how effective they are. The best warm-up is simply doing what you're going to do, and is swimming slow to start with, and then swimming a little faster as it goes on, maybe doing a few build 25s, and then maybe after you swim a little bit, then you do some passing just to get their arms warmed up. So,
do you have a prescribed warm-up that you would do? Like I have my team, and it's like every day you're going to do the same warm-up?
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, it's a 200-yard easy, and then I need you to do 10, 50 build, and then we're done.
Water polo IM, or kick swim, or I always did about 400 or 500 yards of fairly easy swimming, and then I'd always do about 6 or 8 build 25s, where you're starting out slow, and then as you're swimming across the pool, you get faster and faster. So at the end of each 25, you're going a little faster. So you're building the speed up slowly. I would always include those build 25s. So So let's say it takes about 15 minutes. Let's say we swim, after that we do our 500, sprints, 25, about 20 times 25. Head up, no wall. Okay? Head up, no wall, just like in a game. That's 500 yards. Okay? Then you do a little leg work, heavy balls, something like that. At the most 15 minutes. The swimming set here maybe takes 15 minutes. Or not even that, 20. Yeah, you do one-to-one rest, by the way. It's a one-to-one rest. So you have two groups. You count off by twos real quick. One group takes off. When they finish at the other end, then the next group takes off. So it's you get a one-to-one rest, a work to rest ratio. It's on the 25s. Then you do a shooting drill of some kind. That could be something like this. You know, just about anything you want. This is where you might even set up at this time. You might set up your 4 stations around the pool. 2 of the stations are shooting drills. The other 2 are some kind of a skill drill, maybe a 2-meter man turn, or people getting in front of the goal and posting up and turning your man.
That might be passing before the shooting though?
Yeah, you do a little bit of passing. It doesn't take long, about 5 minutes.
In the leg drill?
The leg drill, actually leg, yeah, you could do that, because when you're passing, you are using your legs, and that's kind of a warm up there, but, I would throw the passing in maybe right in here after the leg drill, before you do the shooting drill, because you gotta get those arms warmed up for shooting.
Right.
So that's about, you can get the legs warmed up pretty fast, 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, if you do one hard leg drill and then a little bit of passing. that
Yeah.
would take
And-
some of that.
And during this warm-up up here, during that warm-up, you can do some breaststroke, you can do some horizontal leg beater, so you can kind of warm up the legs even during that. Like, do an IM, a water polo IM or something like that, where you have to do this kind of motion, that's gonna help warm up a little bit there. So you don't have to do a lot of leg warm-up, or a lot of arm warm-up. It just this, move, that's the only time you throw the ball when you're facing each other, is that. So we do a shooting drill, let's say 15, 20 minutes there. Now on the shooting drill, if you're doing this kind of a shooting drill, you're probably gonna swim about 250 yards in that. It's all fast, okay? Unless if you keep doing it for a longer time, you're gonna get into some more in there, but, and then we're gonna do, 10 one-way counters with the front court offense at one end and front court offense and defense at the other end. So you're doing front court, okay? There's 250. 10 times, that's about 200 actually. Then you're gonna do 10 one-way counters, 6 on 5. There's another 200 swimming. Okay, that's 6 on 5 at each end, so now that's 26 on 5s, that's 20 front courts, and that's 400 yards of swimming. And then you're gonna scrimmage. Scrimmage for about maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, depending, and that's pretty good scrimmage, because you've already done one-way counters. So you've already done 20 up and down the pool. Now the scrimmage, you're gonna add another probably 20 counters in 20 minutes. That's as long as you don't stop it too much. So there's another 400 of hard swimming during the scrimmage. So if you can do all this in 2 hours. Now, if you want to do a few more things, like if you want to throw in some 3-on-3, 4-on-4 drills, or if there's something else you want to work on, you can do some of those, by the way, at, when you've got your rotation, your 4 goals set up, you could do that during that time. But, you know, I used to go 2.5 hours, and if I was doing it today, I'd probably go 2 hours and 15 minutes. And then I could add something else for 15 minutes that I wanted to work on. Again, something that is needed, something I need. I don't know what it would be right now, but it just depends on, you know, because you can do most of your game situation stuff you can do in scrimmage. Most of your 6-on-5 you can do here on the one-ways, and most of your front court stuff, you want to work on something specific, you can do on these. So this is pretty much 2 hours to 2 hours, 15 minutes if you wanted to add another drill of some kind. And this is a total of about, that's 1,550 meters or yards, okay? Now, in a water polo game, you very rarely go this far, especially in a 25-yard pool, a 25-meter pool. So this 1,550 is every length is hard and all out. So it's not like this is not loafing stuff. I'm not counting the warm-up as part of that 1,550. Everything that we do that's hard here is included in that 1,550. So let's just round it off just for numbers. So, there's studies that have been done on this. You can do it yourself. You can put a game on video. You can tag all the times that they're swimming. You got to determine how hard they're swimming. So basically, what water polo is you swim hard for 20 meters, and then you the way we're playing the game today, you kind of sit around and throw the ball around for the same amount of time. So it's like 15 seconds of hard swimming and then 15 seconds of doing not a lot. So it's kind of a rest period. So this is kind of a one-to-one thing. So total in the game, very rarely would you get 1,500. And of that 1,500 that you're swimming, probably 800 is hard, all out, intensity. So you got to, if you're analyzing a film, is this hard intensity? Is it half speed? Is it just driving through, on the front court? But of that, about 800 is really hard. So here already in this practice, we've done twice as much hard swimming than we've done in a game, than we do in a game. And then you got, very rarely do you have players play the whole game. So you take that into consideration too. You're going to sub people in. Not everybody's going to go that full distance. This is for a player who would play the whole game, would go maybe 1,500. And again, this is mainly, it's a 20-meter sprint or 20-yard sprint, rest, 20-yard sprint going back in the other direction, rest, and by resting, I mean vertical water polo. And then if you throw a 6-on-5 in there, that's there's another 20 seconds of no swimming, where it's just using your legs and you're passing the ball. So every time you throw a 6-on-5 in, it even gives you more rest as far as swimming up and down the pool. So you end up, and then once in a while, you counter down the pool, the ball will turn over immediately and you'll counter back. So that's about 40 yards. So you got to do, you should include in your conditioning up here. I would do a couple of days a week, I'd do 50s instead of 25s. Or you could do 40s. I used to also, in a 30-meter pool, we'd go from the 2 to the 2, or the goal line to goal line, sprints, 30-meter sprints, 28-meter sprints. So you can do 40, and on the 40-meter sprints, head up, and you turn around and come back without using the wall. You don't use the wall at all. Swim one direction, turn around, come back, and sprint in both directions. So that gets you ready for these every 3 or 4 or 5 counters. You're going to have to go up and back without resting in between. So you got to prepare for that too. That's a different energy system. So really, the claims of how much swimming you do in a water polo game are really over exaggerated, or exaggerated. I guess we could say over exaggerated. But it used to be more, because when we played 30 meters, you swam more, and we used to do less vertical stuff in games. When you did drive, so when you do a movement game, now you're going to add some to this 800 when you're in a movement game. And so you gotta include that time, you want your drives to be intense also. So you're gonna add another, at least a couple hundred a year, just from the movement game, driving, and hard. So now maybe you're getting up to 1,000. Again, this is somebody that plays the whole game, you know. The movement game will take away some of that vertical stuff, and it will add some more horizontal stuff, but it'll be hard. And really, a lot of the swimming, the way we're playing the game today, a lot of the swimming is just kind of half effort, three-quarters intensity, half intensity. I mean, a lot of teams don't counter hard. They just go down the pool about half speed. You know, I mean, it's like basketball. You know, you can kind of walk the ball up the court, you know, or you can just blast and get up there as fast as you can. You know, so it's a different philosophy. Same thing in water polo. Nothing against people who want to walk the ball up the court. You know, and if you're leading in basketball by 10 points in the fourth quarter, there's only a couple minutes left of the game. You know, there's no hurry to get up there. Just walk the ball up the court. You know, so. But I would rather sprint at the court, or I'd sprint and swimming, same thing. So this is a 2-hour practice, and in a 2-hour practice, you're getting 1,500 yards of hard swimming. You're getting you're getting shooting, you're getting leg work, you're getting, you get to work on your front court offense, front court defense, 6-on-5 offense, 6-on-5 defense, and you get to scrimmage and work on game situations. So. That's a lot, you know, and you can do it in 2 hours. When I work with Radical, I would sit on the side of the pool, kind of just watching the workouts, and gosh, 8 hours, boy, did I get bored. and I'm thinking to myself, I can do this, get the same accomplished in 2 or 3 hours, and he's doing it in 8 hours. So, I mean, great coach, but his idea of training does not jive with my idea of training at all.
Yeah, but 8-hour practices are really good for your tan.
Yeah, for your tan.
So that's what's really important here. That's
Well, he didn't wear sunglasses or hats at all.
Oh, wow.
But now as he stayed more in California, then he started doing more.
Sorry, you can't go away with that.
Yeah, right. I mean, he grew up in Serbia. There's not as much sunshine here. So. There's a form of training that's been starting to be used by different sports. And it started with this, I don't know if have you heard of the Tabata protocol? Tabata was a researcher, and he did this with runners. And the idea here was that everything you did was short, very short distance. They call them ultra short repeats. And we're talking about 10 yards swims, 15-yard swims, 12-yard swims, 20-yard swims, shorter than you would normally do. But when you go shorter, you're going all out. So people are saying, well, you know, that doesn't really get you, it gets you in shape for going 10 yards, but it doesn't get you in shape to, it doesn't give you endurance to last the whole game because you're going these short little distances. Well, they found, and there's been quite a few studies done on this now, that those short repeats like that actually develop your cardiovascular system, so your endurance for a long period. And because when you think about it, if you're, let's say you're training for a marathon, but you go out and you're just running like this all the time, okay? And you go 20 miles a day at this slow speed, that's not going to get you in shape for a marathon. Eventually, you're going to have to go fast. So. And what they do is, so let's say instead of going 20 miles, you go out and you do 440s or 880 repeats running hard, and you do about 10 of those, say 10 880s, and you don't do anything else. Those 10 880s will actually improve your endurance to run a long marathon. So this is kind of part of the Tabata protocol, and other studies have been done on this. So, and the beauty of that is, I don't know if you guys remember your physiology, but you know, you've got the anaerobic systems. You have the ATP system where it produces ATP, and one is uses
Glucose.
yeah, glucose, but the oh, they used to take pills and this stuff.
Creatine.
Huh?
Creatine.
Creatine. creatine phosphate system. This is your first, like if you sprint for about 10 or 12 seconds, you're using, this is stored in your muscles. Okay, so this is without oxygen. Then the next one is a lactic acid system, which goes for about, let's say, 12 to 25 seconds, something like that. And these are both anaerobic, and then you've got your aerobic with oxygen. This is the longer distances, something that lasts greater than 30 seconds up to 2 hours or 5 hours, whatever, right? So, and in water polo, we use a lot of this system, a lot of 10 seconds, 12 seconds, 15 seconds. And we also use a lot of this system. This is your two-way counters up and down the pool. And the problem if you're training, you're going really hard for, like, let's say 12 to 25 seconds. You're going maybe a hard 50, all out. You start building up lactic acid. And this, if you do enough of this hard stuff, it can start affecting you. It affects your learning. You know, kids are out there, they're so exhausted, they get this lactic acid buildup, and they're not listening to what you're saying, and it really affects your intensity. Maybe later in the practice you want to do a scrimmage. If you built up this lactic acid by doing really hard sprints that lasted, you know, longer than 25 seconds, and you're going all out, this could be a problem. So this ultra short system, the one I was telling you about, just works exclusively on this system. Most of these sprints last less than 10 seconds or 12 seconds, or even less than 15. So like say you go 10 yards all out, you do 30 10-yard sprints, or 40 12-yard sprints or something like that. And you do a one-to-one rest, and you never do get into this system here. But what's amazing about this, so you don't build up lactic acid. Let's say you're doing 40 times 10 yards. And you do a one-to-one rest. You're in this system the whole time. So the beauty of it is you never build up lactic acid, but it still trains this system. It's still going short like that trains this system. It also helps train their aerobic system by doing the short ones. This is all the research that they've done on this. So, you know, instead of doing your 20-25s, maybe do 40-10s or 40-15s or something like that. You know,
Or go 5 to 5, something like that.
yeah.
But they gotta be all out when you do them, right?
Yeah, they gotta be hard,
They gotta be all out.
So this is and now they're even having marathoners do more short stuff now. Because you know, even in the marathon, you gotta run fast. If you're this world record in the marathon, those guys are going about 4 minute plus miles, for 26 miles. So that's pretty darn fast. So you gotta get. The thing about these build up your speed. At the same time, they're also building up your endurance. But you don't, in water polo, you don't need the kind of endurance you need for running a marathon. It's not that aerobic endurance where you need the endurance to be able to repeat sprints over and over. That's what this does. It gives you that ability to repeat, and that's what these one-way counter drills do. And that's what these, so you're able to repeat hard over and over and over again. You probably do, in a game, you probably do about 40 of these one-way counters in a game. So you have to get, but then you figure, every time you have a timeout, you got a rest period. Every time, in between quarters, you have a rest period. After a goal scored, everybody breaststroke up to the middle of the pool, you got a rest period there. There's a lot of rest periods.
If you want to rest, score more goals.
Yeah. That's right.
That's all I'm saying. If you don't like to play defense and you don't like getting countered, score every time.
Yes, yeah.
Makes it easy.
By the way, I watched the Australian 20 and under championships, 5-on-5, with a small ball. And the final score was 20-15. So there's 35 goals. That's 35 times they swam back to the middle of the pool and had to set up. And that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. And guys, I mean, goalies were having troubles. The ball's coming so fast. The goalies were having trouble getting their arms on the ball. It was just absolutely amazing. So if they go to a small ball for the men, oh, I don't know. I just don't see that happening. I don't think anybody wants to do it except for maybe FINA. You know, they're the only ones I think that want to do it. But you know,
I don't think anybody who has played the sport with men at a high level,
That's-
or been
yeah,
around the sport,
yeah.
thinks it's a good idea.
Yeah, no one who's ever attended goal wants to.
Yeah, I don't know a single goalie who's like, oh yeah, bring on the floor.
Sure.
They'll have
Let's
to
go.
go to hockey.
Well, that's the problem with
The
the,
girl ball gets in the high school practice, they don't want girl balls.
right. Well, you know, that's the problem with the technical water polo committee, the FINA, TWPC. They're a bunch of old guys, half of them never played water polo, and they're just making all these executive decisions, and they never consult the coaches. They don't consult players for sure, and they don't consult coaches either. They just come out, make up all these rules.
Well, how dare the players think they have ownership of the game?
I know. Johnny Lonzi at least played. He's the chairman of that committee. He's Italian. He played in the '60 Olympics, so at least he knows something about the game. But you know, he makes rules up that screws over the Italians. The Italians are small, fast, quick players, and he makes the rules they made over the years help the big man game. You know, so he's even hurting his own country by doing it. So.
With this, the quick work ratio that the CP was going after the great things, you could literally, like you said, go a sprint and then actually have them rest and then do a heavy leg work at the same time, like.
Yeah, oh, during the rest period. Yeah.
Yeah, something along with, or, you know, where you're doing it different muscles.
Yeah, and this is actually closer to what the game is. You sprint and then you go into vertical, right? And then you sprint and then you go into vertical. Well, you can do that in your sprints too. Something you just said just reminded me of. But I've done this a few times. I would do it once or twice a week in lieu of 50s or 25s and that's it. And you know, there was a time, by the way, years ago, I used to do 75s and 100s. Never go more than 100. I don't think my players ever swam a 200. But we go 75s and 100s. Now, here's the thing about if you do a 75 or 100, you have to give them more rest between each repeat. You can't do 100s on the 110, you know, or something like that. It's just, well, they probably wouldn't make it anyway. Some of your guys could. Some, yeah. But so the idea here is that if you go 100, let's just a round figure. Let's say it takes them a minute, which is, you know, that's pretty fast. But they go 100 in a minute, and that's a pretty fast 100. And then that takes 1 minute. You should give them, and by the way, that 100 in 1 minute, guess what you're going to be building up here? You got lactic acid in the yin yang at 100, okay? So if you go a minute, you've got to give them 2 to 3 minutes rest. So, and believe me, one day I went on and said, okay, we're going to do 10 100s, one every 3 minutes. And they were dead. Absolutely dead. I mean, I did the beginning of practice and they were completely worthless for the rest of the practice. That killed them more. That was only 1,000. But it was all out. It was hard, almost as fast as they could go. And so I finally reduced that. I reduced it down to like 5 100s with a 2 or 3 or 4 minute rest.
Rest or interval?
Rest. Yeah, so I go 1 every 3 minutes. It's a 2 minute rest. Well, once every 4 minutes would be a 3 minute rest. Yeah. So you can, and so what that does, even though they're going 100, it's all out. You know, so it's at a high speed. Anytime you go longer than 25 or longer than 50, if you go 75 or you go 100, make sure the speed is high enough that they get conditioning out of it. But if I did hundreds on the 115, let's say, they'd have to slow down. They'd be going, instead of going a minute, they'd be going 110s, 111s with 4 second rest, and they'd have to go again. So every time they go, it gets slower and slower and slower, and that's not going to help them. So if you do something longer, and you can't do it often because it just kills them, but you make sure they're going all out, and make sure you're giving them enough rest that they can go all out and still recover. So yeah, I do that with 75s and with 100s too. So another thing you can do is in between a swim like this, you have them swim easy, for like an easy 50. Because as you're swimming easy, it's helping to dissipate that lactic acid that's been built up. So instead of having to just hang on the wall and rest for 3 minutes, have them go maybe 50, 75, 100 easy, just easy swimming, and that'll help you rid some of that lactic acid that's been built up. I I did the set once every week, once every 2 weeks, something like that, you know, or all out 75s. Most of the time I was doing 25s and 50s. These are my main sets for 25s and 50s.
My first immediate thought was, and we're just talking about the building, not going to acid
Right.
energy system. My first thing is like using the whip pod. I'm at a 25-yard pool.
Right.
Which originally, I guess, was a dive tank, but we use it for a water polo pool, so 6 lanes. So going width-wise, you know, so that's about 10 to 15
Yeah.
yards.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, your width-
but
That's-
I don't like to have my kids sit on the walls.
Yeah.
But if I have them treading or have them egg beating or doing leg work in between each sprint, to me that goes into the lactic acid realm, does it?
Not really, because you're not going all out. You're using the legs, but you're not going all out. You know, to build up lactic acid, you've got to be going at a real high intensity. So that leg work is not high intensity. Plus, you're only using your legs. You're not using your arms and your legs, and you're not going really hard out. So I think that the leg work, you don't have to do it, but it's a way to get leg work in at the same time that you're doing swimming. You know, and it's just adds to the efficiency of your workout. You're going to get more out of it in a shorter period of time. So it's that idea of combining stuff. So you're combining leg work with swimming. You know, so that's part of it. And you don't have to do that every day. You know, but it does. And you can even, well, they get to the wall, give them a ball, a heavy ball, up below their heads. But maybe you have them do that for like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, put the ball back on the deck, get ready to go again, you know, on the sprint. So most of these things that you do, if you're doing anything that uses these two systems, you got to go at least 1-to-1 rest. And when you're doing something that gets, when you're starting to go on 75, 100, if you go 200s. If I swim it all out 200, I would give them about 4 or 5 minutes rest after an all out 200. Yeah, and maybe even more than that. Yeah. So the rest would be 4 minutes. Yeah. So it's actually what is that? 3 to 1, I think. So and very rarely. I just I can probably count on one hand when we did 200s. And back then I was doing that. I'd do it in the off season a little bit, but even now off season I'd spend the off season teaching them how to play volleyball.
So Dante, you want to start getting ready to wrap it up so we can get out of here and maybe have some questions and stuff? So.
Yeah.
You gotta get to your flight, so.
I got. Hopefully the traffic's not too bad.
Yeah.
So, any other questions you guys have that we got a couple minutes left? I want to leave here about 1. So.
Can I ask you real quick about the whole letting it dissipate? So they were talking about doing legs after the swim. So the two muscle groups independent of each other. So like if you swim hard and you start doing legs, it'll start dissipating from the arm because it's not being used.
Yeah.
The energy system that you're using when you're doing the legs doesn't produce the lactic acid. When you're swimming, you didn't leave the creatine phosphate energy system, so you're never actually working that lactate system to produce the lactic acid.
Yeah, it depends on the intensity that you're doing it to. You can produce lactic acid on the leg, but you know you probably don't do it long enough. And they used to think that lactic acid dissipated. Actually, when you after you build up some lactic acid, if you're swimming slowly, you're swimming aerobically, so you're taking in oxygen, and that actually helps convert the lactic acid to something you can use for energy.
Right.
It helps you convert it back into ATP. Yeah. So using the legs and just some kind of movement helps to help dissipate and get rid of that lactic acid. And it's just the intensity of it. You know, when you're doing leg work, it's just not the same intensity as you're sprinting down the pool. I mean, and you don't have to make it real hard or real heavy. You just have light leg work. You know.
You need to have it one end of yours. You can have the leg work the hardest on one side if you're really working it. But
Yeah.
the other side, you need
Exactly.
the rest. Just trying to mix it in.
Oh, sure. It's a way to combine stuff.
Yeah, I was just mentioning to Nathan, the other thing you can do is just have them have a ball. You can dribble, if you're doing that short dribbling,
Yeah.
leg work, just use a little bit of ball handling with the ball while you're doing your egg here and then dribble back again.
Sure, you can, these 25s, you can throw a ball in there and have them swim, and get to the end, like you said, just do the ball
Yeah.
like that, so they have to use their legs a little bit, and then they turn around, and swim back with the ball again.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just have good sprints, if you're already having to doing no goal and getting the rest, you can, without having to have to do the legs hard, they're still gonna get leg work in.
Yeah.
As long as you don't let them finish that 25 and flip. I mean, that's what most guys are gonna do. They're gonna finish the 25 and then
That's right.
I'm tired and just
Yeah.
shit in the water, not using the legs, so.
Yeah, by the way, when there's swimming sprints, you have to insist they use their legs. Because, you know, it's not because you get propulsion out of the legs, it's because you're swimming like this.
Right.
And the only reason you're kicking in water polo, as soon as you raise, your body's like this, when you raise your head up, your body does that. And if you don't kick, your body's gonna go down the pool like that, you're using a lot of extra energy just getting yourself down the pool. So that's why they have to kick. Ryan Bailey never kicked, and, you know, he needed to, because he had a heavy rear end. and
That's
he
a
was-
lot to pull through the water.
Yeah, he was pulling all that stuff through the water, and I tried to get him in practice one day with the national team to do some kicking. He tried it for a few laps, and that's too tiring. So,
They're the biggest muscles in your body, right?
yeah, you're,
Yeah, I read an article that said that they did a study on swimming. This was just, freestyle swimming.
right,
And they said that the kick only adds 15% to your speed.
yeah.
But it's because of the alignment and the
Yeah.
it just escaped me.
Well, you know, I
Yeah.
never, I've read articles that say it adds nothing.
Yeah.
Mainly what it does is it balances your body when you're taking a stroke.
Right,
So it keeps your body from doing this, because you're kicking kind of like that almost.
right.
It keeps your legs up on top. But as far as the propulsion goes, it's, some people have said it's like 5%, 10% as far as
Yeah,
propulsion. And it's very inefficient, because the biggest muscles of your body are in your legs, and what you're getting out of that real hard kick tires you out, because you don't get a lot of propulsion out of it. So mainly you just have to kick enough to keep your legs up.
Yeah.
I know when I swam 100 years ago, but I swam 1500, and I would just do a little scissor kick, just to keep my legs up on the surface. You know,